The news over here in the UK is pretty bad at the moment, and I'm really annoyed today, as you've probably seen. I'm an angry man today. But it could be worse. I could be a Bernie Sanders supporter in America. Because it's not Bernie Sanders they're cheating over in America, it's their supporters. Super Tuesday 2 was yesterday, or what they're calling it, when a load of states voted on their Democratic primary. Where are we? March, aren't we? March the 11th, March the 10th. So this is the Super Tuesday 2. Biden won Idaho, Mississippi, Missouri, North Dakota, and Michigan. Biden won Michigan. Bernie Sanders trounced Hillary Clinton 4 years ago in Michigan. And Biden won in Michigan yesterday. Let me remind you who Joe Biden is, people in America who voted for him, if any of you watch this. Let me remind you who he is. This is yesterday, I think it was. Take a listen.
These union workers that have been working countless hours under the Trump administration.
So this is a voter who wants to speak to him about his record on guns. Listen.
I'd like you to explain how you plan to not only keep us working, but how you intend on getting the union vote when there's a large portion of the union workers that are gun enthusiasts, and you are actively trying to diminish our Second Amendment right and take away our guns.
You're full of shit.
You're full of shit. It gets worse.
All right, thank you.
Now, shush.
Shush! That's one of his aides. Jumping to his defense. Shush! I'll carry on.
Shush.
Shush.
I support the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment, just like right now, if you yell fire, that's not free speech. And from the very beginning, I have a shotgun, I have a 20 gauge, a 12 gauge, my sons hunt. Guess what? You're not allowed to own any weapon. I'm not taking your gun away at all. You need 100 rounds.
So when you were in Vado, when you said you're going to take our guns,
I did not say that. That's not true. I did not say that.
It's a viral video.
It's a viral video like the other ones they're putting out that are simply a lie.
That, you know, recordings of him saying stuff in his own words.
Boys, you said that you're taking the gun.
Well, he just clarified it.
Wait. Take your AR-14s.
Okay, this is not okay.
Hold on. All right. Hey, let's
Don't tell me anything, pal. I want to go outside.
There's a lot of guys.
You're
A lot of guys
working for
wanted.
me, man.
I'm not worried.
Hold on.
Give me a break, man. Don't be such a
You're
horse.
pushing up on me.
Don't be such a horse's ass. Give me a break.
There's a lot of
Hey.
Speak to Joe.
Look, here's the deal.
Go
Here's the deal. Are you able to own a machine gun? I said, are you able to own one? I'm the law.
Machine guns are illegal.
That's right. So AR-15's illegal.
How is that a machine gun?
No, it's not.
Semi-automatic.
Yeah, do you need 100 rounds? Do you need 100 rounds?
Deaths in America from handguns, and there are what you call assault rifles. Why are you advocating for assault rifles when people are dying by handguns?
No, come on.
That was yesterday. I think it was yesterday or the day before. I want to give you a reminder. This is who's winning the Democratic primary right now. This guy. Now, that was him a few years ago and it was making sense. Just listen. This is a compilation of his gaffes. It's really, really scary scary for the world. Not just America, for the world, that this man is the is the favourite to win the Democratic primary. I cannot understand. Well, I can. They're rigging it. It's simple as that. Listen.
We choose truth over facts.
He's saying that it was President, my boss, it was his fault.
I was a Democratic caucus. You ever been to a caucus? No, you haven't. You're a lying, dog-faced pony soldier.
poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. Friend, time friend, and she's a friend. She's been my friend in and out of public life. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by go. You know the thing. Tomorrow's Superstar Tuesday. All right, Chuck. Thank you very much.
All right. It's Chris, but anyway.
My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate. Look me over if you'd like to see, help out. If not, vote for the other guy. I love this place. Look, what's not to like about Vermont? One of the things I'm proudest of is getting passed, getting moved, getting control of the Paris Climate Accord. I'm the guy that came back after meeting with Deng Xiaoping and making the case that I believe China would join if we put pressure on them. You had people like you had people like the former chairman and leader of the party in Germany. Go to Joe 30330. Watch what happened when those kids from Parkland came up to see me when I was vice president. They went and some of you covered it. It's not that they don't want to help. They don't know quite what to do. Play the radio. Make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night. The phone. Make sure the kids hear words. And to get hot, I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
They're not fake. That's Joe Biden. This man's in cognitive decline. He cannot be president of the United States. He can't. Can you imagine Joe Biden versus Donald Trump? Can you imagine what Donald Trump would do to him? That's just a little taster. It'll be that sort of stuff. By the way, whoever came up with that on Twitter, well done. I think Garland Nixon retweeted it out. That's why I saw it. He cannot. He can't be president. He won't be. He can never be president, and he will never be president, because there's no way he'll beat Trump. I mean, Trump he's already talking about it, look. Retweeting Joe Rogan. Clipping up Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan says what everybody's thinking, that nobody in the Middle East is willing to say because they hate Trump. Imagine someone sent him the other 1,000 clips, just as bad as this one from the last few weeks. I mean, this is just the one where he... just the one slip up.
Be self-evident. All men and women created by go. You know the thing.
Stop. Pause. You can't be president.
It's already happening. It will be a mauling. The people who are propping Joe Biden up now, it's a Joe Rogan. Him as president, I wouldn't mind. But the people who are propping Joe Biden up now, they will go down as people who are being cruel to the elderly. This is elder abuse, what they're doing to him. If you think he has a chance of beating Trump, if you think that, I've got some weapons of mass destruction to sell you, but just listen to this. Already, Fox is sharpening the knives. Can you imagine if Joe Biden is the nominee and it's a run-up to election? This is Tucker Carlson on Fox, and already they're going after him. And everything he says in this is true. Everything.
Party coalesced with.
I know people don't like Tucker Carlson, but everything he says here is bang on.
Stunning speed around Joe Biden. You're watching the results tonight. It's not as if the establishment actually prefers Biden, who is frail and rapidly moving toward incapacitated. They just despise Bernie Sanders and were desperate to stop him. They'd pick anybody, and they did, and it worked. Sanders got crushed on Super Tuesday. A candidate who actually wanted to win would have paused the day after to reassess his campaign. For Sanders, this week was the time to tell the truth about what is happening, what we're all watching. The Democratic nominating system is rotten and corrupt. Biden himself clearly is not capable of governing this country. He's not even capable of holding a press conference. The whole process is shocking. It's a fraud, not to mention incredibly cynical and reckless. The establishment doesn't care who the president is. They just want to make certain it's someone they can control who won't raise their taxes. Sanders could have said all that, and he should have, because it's true. Instead, he defended Joe Biden. Watch.
And the question of Joe Biden's mental acuity is not something that just comes up anywhere. Democrats have brought this up, including Senator Cory Booker, who endorsed Joe Biden today.
I'm not going to go at that level in attacking. But Joe and I have, that's for people to decide. All I can say is Joe and I have very significant political differences. And I'm not going to be making, personal attacks on Joe. That's not what I do.
That's almost exactly word for word what Jeremy Corbyn was saying last year about, people like Tom Watson, etc. People who were trying to, decapitate his run for Prime Minister, which they did successfully. I'll play this on.
Okay. So according to Bernie Sanders, we're not allowed to talk about the one thing all of us can see clearly every day. The Democratic frontrunner is failing. He's not capable of taking the job he's running for. His staff is desperate to keep him from interacting with the public for more than 2 minutes. By the way, that's not a partisan talking point. It's true. It's an observation that everyone who pays attention has. And it's sad, really sad, more poignant than damning, sincerely. But Sanders won't say any of this. Shut up, he says. Any mention of Biden's rapidly declining communication skills is a, quote, personal attack. It's pretty obvious that Sanders doesn't want to win. He's a man who thinks it's more noble to fail than to succeed. You're watching a professional loser. Sanders is all but admitting that now. He's already promised to back Biden if Biden wins the nomination. He's even pledged not to contest the convention.
It's going to be sick if he's made nominee. It really is. It's going to be sick. And with regards to the DNC, what they're doing right now it's horrific. It's an insult to democracy. I mean, Democratic National Committee, they call themselves. They're democratic in the same way that the Democratic Republic of Congo is democratic. They're democratic the DNC is democratic in the same way as the Democratic People's Republic of North Korea is democratic. They're not democratic. Not by a long shot. If you want proof of it, look at what they've done with these debates. Look at how they've rigged it against Tulsi Gabbard. Look at how they've rigged it against, who, by the way, is still in the race, Tulsi Gabbard. There's 3 people left in. Tulsi is one of them. Let's not forget. Look how they've rigged it so Tulsi Gabbard didn't go on the debate stage, ever increasing the threshold. If she hit the threshold, increase it. Look how they've done that. She got 2 delegates on Super Tuesday. They immediately increased the threshold to 20% required to get on the debates. They cannot have an anti-war voice on that stage. They just can't. Why? Because the Democratic National Committee, the DNC, are warmongers. Look at their record. Look at how they basically just sold themselves like cheap fucking whores to Mike Bloomberg. Remember, Republican New York mayor, Republican, bought his way into the Democratic National Committee debates. It's the equivalent of Alan Sugar buying his way into the Labour leadership debate now, halfway through. Just bought his way onto that stage, bought his way onto it. Just gave him millions of dollars, just bought his way onto it, and the DNC went, yeah, please, we love that money. We love that corporate cash. They'll change the debate rules to make sure Tulsi isn't on there. They'll change them in a different way to make sure Bloomberg is on there. Now we find out that they've changed the rules again so that Joe Biden won't have to stand up in the next debate. It's going to be a sit-down one like old times. Won't be a stand-up one now. It'll be a sit-down one. Because, you know, Joe Biden. Can you imagine that debate? Imagine that debate. Imagine what it's going to be. A moderator will be like, so Mr. Biden, what's your stance on healthcare? Look fat. Look fat. Number one. The name's Biden Obama. Vice President Biden Obama. B. You want to go around? You want to do some push-ups? Number 4. When I was vice president to president, my boss. It's sad that this is happening. It really is. Because I can't imagine how anybody can vote for, not just vote for Joe Biden with a clear conscience, knowing that they're voting for somebody who's got dementia. I blame the media, of course, because their propaganda campaign over there looks like it's been cranked up to levels that we saw over here in 2019. Like I said in the video not long ago, what is happening to Bernie Sanders is almost a carbon copy of what happened to Jeremy Corbyn last year. And he's making the same mistakes again. He will not call this out. Keep saying, Joe's a friend of mine. I like Joe. If you don't call this out, Bernie, people are going to look at you and think you're weak. The same way as I, last year, sat here screaming at my TV saying, Jeremy Corbyn, you're weak. And this is why he's losing that. And of course, the fact that they're rigging it against him. The entire media and DNC. Fox News, the only place that's telling the truth about it. To the Bernie Sanders supporters over there in America, I know some of you watch this. Don't stop. Don't lose hope. Push him even harder. Push even harder. What we're seeing right now is out in the open, the DNC rigging it. We've seen them out in the open doing it. Nobody can look at this and say it's a fair election. Not a single person. Even Jake Tapper was questioning it the other day. Not a single person, certainly not a single honest person, can say that this is a fair election. Keep pushing. Make them show how fucking ugly they are. Make them show all of the DNC's ugliness. Make them show just how rigged it is. Make them show just how undemocratic the Democratic National Committee is. Because the worse things get and the more desperate they get as they are, you're seeing it in all its glory now. They're pushing out somebody suffering. He's suffering from dementia. He's in serious cognitive decline. But they would rather push him out, knowing full well that he will lose to Trump, than win with Bernie Sanders.